So nervous and sleepy is never a good combination. So I would like you to support me by, when I say who, you say ha. Can? Let's try this. Who? Okay, another one. Who? 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 Okay, thank you for your support. Once more, okay. Who? Okay, thank you. So I'm still nervous anyway. But okay, I want we to have a discussion on this. But let me try to present about our work first. I am from SAFEnet, Digital at Risk Subdivision at SAFEnet. What is SAFEnet? Then let me tell you quite a bit about SAFEnet. Wait, a little bit issues because I'm alone here. So SAFEnet is a non-profit organization and a network of digital rights defenders in Southeast Asia. We are established on 2013 and we are based in Bali, Indonesia. So please do come if you are in Bali, please visit our headquarters. We advocate digital rights as human rights through digital rights violation monitoring, policy and victims advocacy, and solidarity with victims and other human rights defenders. So I have a question for you guys. Do you believe your genital and physical could affect your digital livelihood? Anyone wants to have a say on this? Or should I just ask one of you to tell me your experience? Dorika, maybe? But do you believe? You believe in it, right? So we do have experiences where our physical, where somewhat our genital also affect our digital lives. Because we are, I cannot speak for all of you because there is a man here, right? I myself as a woman, I don't really feel safe anywhere. On the street, in the internet, I don't really feel safe because I could get harassed anytime. That's why at SAFEnet, I also learn and train myself to be better to mitigate the risk that I am facing as a woman everywhere, either on the road or in the internet, right? So I want to know, you can just answer yes or no. Do you believe your genital and physical could affect your digital livelihood? Yes or no? Louder, please, for your answer. Yes or no? Yes, okay. I also hear men replying with yes. So many of us believe this, right? So I argue that we all have digital bodies. Some say digital persona, some say it as digital identity, some say digital livelihood, and it's vulnerable, right? To harms, much like as the internet is really fragile. Our digital bodies is also very vulnerable to harms in the online space. So let me introduce you to an initiative by SAFEnet called Awas KBGO. Awas KBGO is Indonesian word. It's actually beware of online gender-based violence in English. So this is an initiative that is focused on the policy advocacy, support for victims, and education on online gender-based violence. And I'm going to tell you about our works with Awas KBGO. So we start on 2018 by advocating a unique case of doxing, identity manipulation, and genderized cyber torture. So the victim actually had their numbers being spread around in dating apps and being promoted as giving services of massages, sexual massages, right? And then they got these phone calls every day from the morning until morning again by person who'd like to get that services. But it's not right, right? The perpetrators do this. We know the perpetrators because they have been jailed for this. The perpetrators has this political motivation because he didn't like what the victims do or did. at that time, because the victim is supporting for a political figure that the perpetrators is against. So the perpetrators did that, and he was actually in jail for this. And then in 2019, we started by publishing online gender-based violence 101 to the public, as we have this press conference to acknowledge about the case that we are advocating. And then we also initiated online gender-based violence discourses with relevant multi-stakeholder and cross-sectoral stakeholders. We then also partner with National Commission on Violence Against Women for case referral on digital security. Also, we do 16 days of activism on social media that we call Awas KBGO. But then, the latest online gender-based violence situation in Indonesia says that the skyrocketing cases of non-consensual intimate images. And then there is victims are scared of the law that could potentially criminalize them instead of protecting them, such as the cyber law that we have in Indonesia, the EIT law, or in Indonesian it would be the ITE law. And then there is also pornography law that is used by the law enforcement to actually capture the victims that is inside the intimate content, because they are accused as acting pornographic. And then the multi-stakeholder in Indonesia are lacking on digital security and OGBV literacy, including the law enforcement and also the service providers. And there is also a limited source of organization or communities that provide services focusing on online gender-based violence in Indonesia. Now in 2022, we have electronic-based sexual crime article under the sexual crime bill, but it really doesn't do much at this time. So we need to do a lot more. Flashback for a bit, in 2020, why it's not changing? Okay, so in 2020, we opened a helpline that we call Awas KBGO helpline with 2 services. We provided services in digital security consultation and then an escalation to report to digital platforms. So we can help victims who want to take a content down by helping them escalating it to the digital platform, because we have partner with Meta and then also Instagram and WhatsApp and TikTok and YouTube and Google to actually report violating content. And then we also partner with Google to develop online class for women's safety on internet. That is on 2020. And we cannot see that it's doing a lot. So in 2021 until 2022, we also do a lot of things like publishing guidebooks, more researchers on online gender-based violence, developing modules for online class and trainings or workshops. We also established a e-library so everyone can find more resources on online gender-based violence in Indonesian language or in English language. We also produce multimedia content containing bite-sized information so more people can understand. Although it is partial or it is fragmented, they can actually digest a lot more information through this bite-sized multimedia content that we will provide, which is also accessible for the blind or visually impaired and deaf communities, because we tried every video content that we made or we produce, we tried to have a sign language instructor to do the sign language interpretation on it. And then there is a collaborating in a multi-stakeholder manner. For example, we have an MOU with the Ministry of Women Empowerment and Child Protection to actually engage with the law enforcement, because we as a not private sector, we as the NGO or non-profit organization cannot really tell law enforcement, you need to do this and this and this. They won't listen to us, right? So we do it by strategically having this partnership with the Ministry of Women Empowerment and Child Protection, so we can intervene the law enforcement through the through the ministry. And also National Commission on Violence Against Women. We also talk with and collaborate, of course, with digital platforms, Meta, Instagram, WhatsApp, TikTok, YouTube, or Google. We also collaborate with CSOs focusing on digital rights and literacy, or women and children's rights, or sexual and reproductive rights, LGBTIQ rights, disabilities communities, legal aids and service providers, psychologists, and many more. So we try to engage all of these stakeholders to actually let's go hand in hand and do something about online gender-based violence mitigation in Indonesia. We also actively participating in national and regional forums on the legal instrument to raise awareness and promote human rights-based approach recommendation. Our focus is to collaboratively and inclusively develop and distribute the knowledge of online gender-based violence in Indonesia, because not many people in Indonesia actually knows about online gender-based violence. We try to educate, to engage, to encourage, and to empower with empathy. And then, so we are pushing an agenda for Awas KBGO as the information center for online gender-based violence advocacy in Indonesia through publications, services, online library and class, also other activities, including engaging multi-stakeholders. And this is one of the example. We publish a guidebook for victims and advocates in handling NCII. NCII is non-consensual dissemination of intimate images. So we have published these two guidebooks. This one is for the victims, because if they face non-consensual dissemination of intimate images threats, then they would know what to do first, what they can do first before they are contacting the service providers. Because a lot of the victims actually didn't understand what to do when we are facing this threat. So getting them to know and understand what can they do first before they are reaching out for help, it's also empowering them. And then there is this book. This we are talking about the laws that we have in Indonesia that could help the victim. If they are facing doxing, a gender doxing, then they can know what articles that they can use to advocate for themselves. And this has been used, our books has been used by CSOs, service providers, even the ministry and the National Commission Against Violence of Women, Violence Against Women, also use our guidebooks to help them with their own helpline. And this is also another book that we have, guidebook to investigate the perpetrators information through the digital platforms. We distribute this book to the CSO and also to the law enforcement. So many law enforcement didn't really know that they actually can contact the digital platforms through the established communication lines. So digital platform already has these communication lines special for the law enforcement, but the law enforcement didn't know that. And they cannot really actually use that line because they don't know about it. So this book is actually to help the CSO push the communication between law enforcement and digital platforms, and also for the law enforcement to know what they need to prepare to ask for data from the digital platform itself. And then we also do researches. This is our two latest researches. This is on legal frameworks in Indonesia about online gender-based violence. We didn't have a lot, but now we do have the electronic-based sexual violence in the crime bill, sexual crime bill, and this also experiences of women human rights defenders in Indonesia facing online gender-based violence. I do have 3 books with me, so if you ask questions or what, you can also get this book. And then this is the online class that we made. We have 3 modules right now on online gender-based one-on-one, on woman safety on internet, and there's And then this one is digital security for the service providers, so they know how to be more safe when they are actually advocating for cases. And then this is the e-library. We have 4 categories: books, research, guidebooks, and regulations on online gender-based violence that we collect. It's in Bahasa Indonesia and in English. And then this is the educative content that we made. This is on our Instagram, Awas KBGO. It's bite-sized information on many things about transgender, about deepfakes, about privacy online, about love scam, and so on. So we just provide this bite-sized information for everyone. And then this is on our YouTube. It's also educative content. This is actually the 3 books, the 3 guidebooks that I told you just before, about the NCII, about the digital platforms line communication. We actually asked the deaf community to provide the sign language interpretation on it, and they have produced 4 videos for our guidebooks. So people in the deaf communities can now really participate on the discussion on this, because the deaf community themselves, this 4-person, has interpreted our guidebooks and knowledge on online gender-based violence into the sign language instruction. We do have discussion with different multi-stakeholders. This is on the sexual crime bill. This is on the law in the, not law, the regulation in the higher education level in universities, also has regulation on fighting online gender-based violence. And yeah, I think that's it for my presentation. I would like to invite you to actually tell me a story or your experience or what initiative that you have in your own country, so we can move forward more. We can move forward together to tackle this online gender-based violence. I would like to invite you to speak, and you can do so. Here is the mic. Is there anyone who would love to share any experiences? Okay, any initiative or any knowledge that you have on online gender-based violence? Hi, Anya. Is it on? I think it's not.
Now it is, I think. Okay, I'll start again. So my name is Anya. I come from the APrIGF Secretariat. Thank you very much for a very interesting content, and I think you're addressing obviously a very important topic. It's not a question, more to respond to your invite that we share initiatives which are maybe similar objective. In the IGF context, in the context of its intersessional work, there is a best practice forum that addresses gender and digital rights. And that BPF has been going on for several years. And knowing that the BPFs really depend on the pulse of the community, every year they've been approved based on the interest from the community confirmed, speaks in favor how much this topic is important to the global ecosystem. So certainly, because you are doing a valuable work, it would be good to maybe understand how to create some synergies between the 2 projects, and we invite you and everyone who's interested to join the BPF on gender. It's a completely open process and very much dependent on people contributing in a bottom-up manner to it. It's a good momentum, I think, to join. It's now discussing the overall concept of digital rights from a judicial perspective, first of all, and it's about to start preparing its final report, which will be presented at the 17th IGF in Addis Ababa, which is on 28th of November until 2nd of December this year. So thank you very much once again.
Get in touch with you on that information later on. Thank you. Yes, please. Oh, wait, Anya, you get this. Let me share with you our research on women human rights defenders on online gender-based violence.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, Ellen.
Hi.
I'm Michael. I work for a Canadian nonprofit called SecDev Foundation, and we support various digital safety initiatives in the region. I've worked for a long time in Vietnam and done some projects related to online gender-based violence there. I'm just really interested in your materials and the guidebooks and so forth. I think they'd be really helpful to show my partners in Vietnam, Cambodia, and see what we could adapt to local languages. And a lot of the same issues there. Vietnam has even something that maybe you don't see in Indonesia, but gender-based violence, as I'm sure you know, takes many different forms. Human traffickers are using social media chat to entrap young women, for example. And we're seeing that in Cambodia and Vietnam, in addition to all of the other issues, many of which you pointed to. So maybe, I don't know if it's in the book, but if you could just, I'll come get you later, and if you can just share whatever resources you have would be great. Thanks.
Yes, Michael, of course. Actually, our resources is in Bahasa Indonesia, but we have been in talk with UNFPA. They want to translate some of our guidebooks to English, and then I can get back to you with that. Okay. Thank you so much. You can also get this book, Michael.
This one's in English. Okay.
This one is in English, don't worry. Okay, so maybe another, because I think we still have time, 10 minutes, I guess, 8 minutes. So if any of you would like to share your own experiences or initiatives or whatever you would like to share on online gender-based violence, it could help to move forward, to move our discussion forward. Yes, please. This is also my colleague.
Okay. Hello, I'm Fandri, and I'm also a APrIGF fellow. I have a question regarding this kind of gender-based violence issues, because in many discourses, it's always focusing in woman and child. Yeah. And what happened with the men's? Are this also become a part of this discussions, or it's left behind? Because in many of discussion regarding this gender-based violence, we always focusing in woman and child. It will never be happen like, okay, men's that can become a victims of gender-based violence, and there are many men that become victims in gender-based violence in this past pandemic, because sometimes the condition is not always men versus women, but also men versus men or other non-binary condition. In this kind of situation, what are your things about gender-based violence for men or for non-binary people? Because the discussion is always about women.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Evandri, for raising that issue, because yes, it is dominantly the victims of online gender-based violence has been women and child. But increasingly, we found through our helplines, we receive reports coming from men and from the LGBTIQ communities on they are also experiencing non-consensual dissemination of intimate images, because the man will get sextorted. So say the case is like there is this video call sex services being promoted through social media, and the man who would like to get that services will contact to have this video call sex, but then they have to transfer some money first, and then after they get through this video call sex with that person who provided, then they will get recorded, non-consensually recorded, and then they will get extorted for that. So it has been happening to men, and they have been reaching through our helpline. So it is important to also understand that online gender-based violence do also affect men. And there is also a need to have service providers not only focusing on women and child, but also focus on men or LGBTIQ communities. We as a helpline, our KBGO helpline, provide services non-discriminatory. So all sort of person, if they are experiencing online gender-based violence, can reach out to our helpline, and we can provide the same services that we also provide to women and child. But there is also different case. You cannot really mitigate a case of woman or an adult with the case of child experiencing the online gender-based violence. So we also do partner with APrIGF Indonesia. APrIGF is an organization that is focusing on online sexual exploitation on child. So we do also reach out to other networks to help us mitigate this and give somewhat solution for the men or LGBTIQ communities that also experience online gender-based violence. And we do make the guidebooks and researches not to be focusing only on women, but to have the knowledge also get to help transfer the knowledge on that men and other gender could also be victims on online gender-based violence. I hope that answers your question. Would you like the book? Evan? Do I still have time? Finish, okay. Okay, so I still have 3 more minutes if you have the book. You want the book? Well, I can give you after this. So do you want to share something? Yes, please, sir.
My name is Shumais. I am from the Maldives. I work for a civil society organization. And so related to this gender-based violence, I would like to ask about maybe your reflections on, there is a subgroup in this, which is the children, child gender-based violence. If you have anything to say about that from your experience.
Yeah, actually, there is a lot of, there is a raise in report that we get in our helpline. That is people who have not yet reached the consent legal, which is 18 in Indonesia, actually report to us about they are experiencing also non-consensual dissemination of intimate images, because it happens a lot. It's like 3/4 of our report is about this specific online gender-based violence of non-consensual dissemination of intimate images. So what we do is they actually are eager to report to the police. But the challenges is, because they are children, they need to have some guidance, some like parents to accompany them to report to the police, right? But they don't want the parents know about the online gender-based violence threat they are having. So it's actually really hard for us to encourage them to report to the police, because the police say, you will have to get your parent here to accompany you to report to us, but they don't want the parents to know. So what we are doing is we are encouraging them to get first psychological counseling first, so they can try to heal first, and then we will tackle down about any content that the perpetrators is posting or uploading to the online space. So that is the somewhat solution that we can offer to the person who has not been in consensual legal to report to the police. So it's not much, but that is the least that we can do for the children who have been the victims. I hope that answers your questions. So I don't think we have much more time, only 40 seconds. I would like for you to, let's do the hoo-ha again. If I say who, you can say ha, so we can end this session on a brighter note. So if I say who, you answer me by saying ha, okay? So who? Okay, thank you so much for coming to my session.